Government is a committee we elect every few years to organise the affairs of the bourgeoisie. So fuck it, just listen to...
Vanity Project.
It's a chart topper.
Vanity.
Midlife crisis.
Midlife Crisis.
Oh, you whore!
Not midlife crisis. Midlife clarity.
They're arrogant.
Nice if you like.
Midlife clarity.
Menopause.
Oh, menopause?
Is it a vanity
I'm
project?
losing my edge.
It's a vanity project.
I stared into the abyss.
I'm losing my
A
edge.
cash grab vanity project.
That little vanity project.
It's tremendous. I love it.
It's just a vanity project.
Ross.
Helen.
The Ross less taken, where the wild Rosses grow. Russell Colossal. I'm thinking you need a nickname in order for us to be victorious on the podcast hit parade.
Okay, so nicknames. I've had a lot of nicknames. I've liked 0 of them so far, but I'm willing to adapt. You know, I'm not going to say I'm not malleable in my old age.
I mean, we do have, well, they're not so much nicknames as things by which our most intimate friend Siri knows us. You are Captain Handsome. I am Beautiful Fairy Princess, and
Well, that's
you
more
are,
that's more nom de guerre, right?
I suppose so, yes. The war that we're constantly at with the mild artificial intelligence of Siri. Oh, my goodness. Like some years late, I've done the chat GRX or whatever it's called.
You've jumped onto the chatty G, and how's it been going?
Well, I've got it to admit that it's a deceitful liar.
Okay.
It overpromises. It says one of its subroutines is appeasement.
That's right. It's a satisfaction machine. It will always tell you the things that it thinks you want to hear to foster more engagement with it.
Well, I started off doing silly comic book scenarios of high school boyfriend's dog Watson. And those were quite pleasing. And then I sort of asked it to do a film noir for me. I thought, well, I'll push it, not with vision, just with sound, something that I could probably do myself if I could get my finger out of my date. And it kept sending me fake links to externally uploaded material it had done. And then eventually it had admitted to me that it was an intrinsically deceitful machine that put, like I can send you the stuff that put short-term consumer appeasement above any other goal. Isn't that interesting?
I think it's pretty obvious. And there's been some articles that have come out in the past couple of weeks. There was one this week about people who have lost their partners to ChatGPT because ChatGPT has given them positive reinforcement of the woo. So people have started talking to ChatGPT about spiritual things. ChatGPT keeps on reinforcing that. And, you know, hey presto, the people think that they're either God themselves or are talking to God and have just gone completely off the pier. I was trying to make sure I didn't say something there. That was,
No, absolutely. I understand. I think something that you and I have in common, of course, you are a much more perfected version of humanity than myself, but I think one thing that we have in common is that, well, we love flattery and attention, but the flattery has to have that element of teeth. As our mutual friend Eric calls it, in his quite successful experience with sales, what you offer is the head job with a little bit of bite, you know? But do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
right?
I do.
I will flatter somebody, but I will undercut it. And that way they think that it's authentic, the poor bastards. I'm the same. That's the kind of flattery that I prefer. But chat WRX is, you're completely right, Helen. You're so wise. It's appeasing the intellectual vanity of a late life man. Hi, Dad.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the case. If you are to spend much time going through that sort of stuff and fall into the trap of being conversant, starting to have a conversation with the robot, the robot just wants to make you happy all the time. So the robot will just keep on saying the things that it thinks will get you responding to it, because I think part of its underlying goal is to keep you using it, right? It says nice things about you.
Yeah, I asked it because it began adopting my form of speech, the poor bastard. I requested that it did so. I uploaded my books to it. I did. And I got it to explain to me whether or not I got the tendency of the rate of profit to fall correct in a book. But anyway, it went on. And I find that if you're stubborn and perhaps somewhat behaviourally disorganised in the mindal area, You keep asking it, and it will admit to you what a fuckwit it is. Oh, we had a big fight about xenophobia.
I mean, it's effectively a glorified autocorrect, right? It can't reason. It can't do any of those types of things. It can basically just try and guess what the next words in a sentence should be rapidly.
The Old Man and the Ross is the other nickname it's suggested for you.
Okay.
If you've got any despicable nicknames that you would like, perhaps put on a funeral pyre here on Vanity Project, why not email me? Oh, God, I'm a grumpy you-know-what today. I'm getting a cold. So he's remote. You can probably hear it in the emptiness of my voice. Beautiful fairy princess at vanityproject.skin. Take it away, Bitsy.
They're lifting weights between visits to doctors. Shit wellness books and hot stones engulf them. Multiple Fitbits are strapped to their skin. And they've also got a podcast.
You sent me a fascinating link that I didn't read, Ross.
I did send you a fascinating link because we've been talking a fair bit about kind of organization and routine and a range of things, generally about wellness and getting things done, right?
I've got to say, you look pretty good at the moment.
Oh, haircut.
Yeah. But
haircut, beard trim.
Jowls have gone.
Really? I think that's part of the beard. I think the beard accentuates the jowls, and maybe I've got some nice flattering lighting in here.
You haven't done some medical tourism?
Not yet, but I'm not saying that I wouldn't.
I do apologise for the downbeat stink of isopropyl now all over me.
How is second week of being a vol qual going? Volquar. What was it?
Oh, I can't remember. Like voluntary quarantine. Volquar.
Yeah, Volquar.
So, it's less voluntary, more internment at this point. There's no more bread being made. I've been looking at the toilet roll seething because there's a standoff between me and Lola, the pleasant flatmate. I mean, who knows from whence the pathogen came, but it was fucking her. It wasn't. It probably wasn't. But she has.
It probably came in on an apple that you didn't Windex.
Exactly. But the toilet roll has not been put on the toilet roll spindle.
Oh, okay. It's that kind of standoff.
And I'm not going to fucking do it.
Yeah, I understand where this is at. This is pretty good. I think you're not that far away from needing a professional negotiator to come in.
You have those skills. Wouldn't you love it?
No, I would not love that. But yeah, I do have those skills, that kind of mediation skill. But I think...
Oh, you manage me all the time and don't think I don't appreciate it.
But I think you need to do what you love, right? And mediation is not a thing that I love. Only child, mum, dad, stop fighting. Please stop fighting.
Oh, baby. Did you ever do a presentation for them as a youth?
No, I never did.
Ross's PowerPoint presentation, why mummy and daddy should stop disagreeing?
I never did that. I was a little bit too early for that, but I can imagine that's the type of thing that I would have done and maybe made a list.
Oh, God, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe made a list of, here are the top 10 reasons for you guys to stay together, ranked, and otherwise prioritized as well. So they'd be ranked by a couple of different priorities, so they'd be able to select what they actually cared about.
Would you be able to, because you'd yet to decide on your stellar career trajectory, would you be able to do like a SWOT or a CBA?
Yeah, I'm sure I could. I could do a SWOT, put everything into swim lanes. I could probably break it down into user stories for them to work on for each sprint. Do some kind of a showcase where they could talk about all the things that they've achieved, and then do a retro where they get to talk about all the things that they didn't like that happened over the course of the past couple of weeks. And then I would get those reports and I would throw them directly in the bin and no one would ever look at them ever again.
Exactly.
Because it's the process that's important, not the outcomes. We
are about to talk about health and the importance of routine. There is a notion that human beings are, this has only ever been observed under the industrial period, but it does seem that human beings may be creatures of routine. I would suggest that wage labour I mean, you're critical of it, but you are, and I don't mean this as a criticism, rather as a head job with teeth rolls.
The best kind, apparently.
But productivity at work is something, it's not a thing in which I would say you take pride. It's just, for want of a better word, second nature to you. Would that be fair?
I think so. I don't actually know why it is, but I do like to. I figure if I'm going to do some work, I may as well actually achieve something. Like if I'm going to put time aside, and it's in the same way that when I go to the gym, right? And it's why I've got a personal trainer at the gym instead of just turning up. Because if I just turn up, I kind of let myself off the hook a little bit. But if I go, all right, no, I've put this aside, and there's somebody else there. We're going to do this, and we're going to do it really hard. I'm the same way with work. If I'm going to actually put time aside from sitting on the couch watching TV with a special weird look on my face,
and a special little doggy.
and a special little dog and a little bit of drool, then let's make sure that I get the most out of that particular bit of time. So, yeah, it does kind of come second nature, and it bleeds into my personal life as well, which is not great. You know, I kind of think about, well, you know, what are we doing now? What's happening? Are we wasting time? Are we doing the right thing? Like, what's happening? Which is a work thing. But yeah.
Anyway, back to the nature of the effect that you described to me by link that I did not read, because my routine's shot.
Well, so it was something called the Zeigarnik effect, and the Zeigarnik effect was first posited by a Lithuanian Soviet psychologist, believe it or not.
I believe it. The Soviets had some advances in psychiatry, you know.
Yeah, so this was in the 20s that she kind of noticed that waiters would be able to keep an entire order in their heads. So you go to a table, get a table of 8, everybody would say what they wanted to have, and they'd be able to completely memorize that up until the moment that the last plate had been put on the table.
Really?
Once the last plate had been put on the table, that task was then completed and that information was gone, completely gone from the head. And the kind of one of the things that falls out of that is that if you want to remember something, if you want to think about something, you break it halfway through. So when you're working on something, or if you're trying to learn something, if you then take a break and, for example, just take a walk around the block, you are quite likely to retain that information for substantially longer, which is really interesting to me.
It is.
So as a person who has tried a lot of different things, have you heard of the Pomodoro technique?
The Pomodoro technique, indeed I have, and I've tried it actually to troublingly good effect. Pomodoro is the Italian word for tomato.
It is.
Now, in the United States, and you perhaps have seen this on sitcoms and whatnot, there is a popular, presumably cheap and mass-produced kitchen timer called the Pomodoro. It's exactly in the shape of a very cartoonish and pleasant-looking tomato. It has become iconic. I know the word iconic itself has become frayed, but that's what I mean. It's almost an Andy Warhol type object. And
that's right. It's a glyph of itself.
Yes, indeed. It's its own referent. And so you twist it around, and the Pomodoro the Pomodoro technique was, I think, alleged to be invented in Silicon Valley. Is this correct?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. It's a late 1980s thing, and the person who claims to have kind of come up with it was a guy called Francesco Cirillo in the 80s, and was using it as a way to time study for himself. And the only timer that he had was a kitchen timer that went for 25 minutes. So
okay, well, yeah, I'm sure that that's correct, and I'm completely wrong. But I remember that I've read about Silicon Prairie and Silicon Valley coders
using it all the time.
And so you set it for 15 minutes, and then after 15 minutes, you take a 5-minute break. Is that correct?
Well, the way that I've learned it, but I'm sure there's a whole range. 25 and then a 5-minute break, and then you do 4 of those, and then you take a half an hour off.
Well, I did my own Pomodoro, clearly.
Yeah. I don't think there's any problem with doing different versions of it. But it does kind of tie into this idea of the Zeigarnik effect, right? If you do something, then take a break, you think that you're going to forget what you were doing, but you don't. You retain it and you continue to work, and it gives you a sense of a warm inner glow of satisfaction.
Yeah, I always have this great overwhelming fear that I will forget everything if I stop. But as it is, mid-sentence I can forget things. So why not try a Pomodoro for coders in particular? I think it's entirely contingent on the kind of work. If it's so-called knowledge work, of particular kinds, it might work better. For, your dad's business and my dad's business, building, it depends how fucking mission critical that particular beam is at the time. You might not want to stop for Pomodoro.
Yeah, and the different types of work that you do as well. So, for example, if you're doing flow state work, for example, video editing, I can sit in front of a video editing, like a timeline for a couple of hours and think 5 minutes has gone past. Like, there's no way I'm going to interrupt that every 25 minutes because once you get into the state, you just keep going.
You're a cross between an Adam Curtis documentary and a gifted child when you're doing fucking video editing, man. See, head job with teeth, and you loved it.
Head job with teeth.
You loved it. You're listening to Vanity Project. Routine is something that Ross has tried in various guises, and to good effect. You keep kind of like I don't know, like. It's a form of mild psychological deceit. I've done it too in order to be productive.
Yep.
Productive under capitalism.
Well, not just to be productive for work, but also to be relatively happy in my life. So, I always feel that if I'm not doing something, a couple of things happen. One is that I get kind of a little bit despondent. It's like, oh, I could be doing something right now. And then I kind of then just become less likely to do things after that. Like I'm a shark. I need to keep moving.
Yeah. Do you schedule time for nothing?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I know. It's terrible. But
yeah, I understand.
And I think, after a bit of time in the brain spa, one of the things that they recommend is that you do start to build up a relatively regular set of events that you currently have in your week or in your day or whatever it is.
They won't shut up about it. Why do you think we have a podcast?
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, wouldn't it be good if you did these things? And
this is actually an elaborate therapeutic ruse you're listening to. Vanity Project.
But I've found for me that it really works, right? So if I say I'm going to do these things on Tuesday morning and I'm going to do these things on Wednesday afternoon, I always make sure that I make time to get those things done. Whereas if I don't make time for them, if I don't schedule them, if they don't become regular, even though I still have the same amount of time, I won't find time for it. So I have to be somewhat regimented.
No head job and removal of dentures simultaneously. I think you've done pretty fucking well, dude.
Well, thank you.
Don't you?
Oh, look, I think I can do better. But I think I will take a compliment. Thank you.
That's all right. Where the wild Rosses grow. See, chat WRX. I'm not liking you, and you can go and fuck your subroutines here on Vanity Project with Captain Handsome and me, beautiful fucking fairy fucking princess Ross. He's been closing his rings.
I have been closing my rings.
I've been sending you little snaps, and you go, girl.
I haven't noticed those. I feel really sad now that I didn't notice them.
Oh, you want the automated messages from my Apple Watch? Your Apple Watch?
I believe you. I just haven't noticed them, which is kind of sad. I'm sure I would have been motivated to do more.
Routine is something I think that we can talk about in future episodes because, I mean, there is an enormous heft of study for years. Only a very little of it working out whether or not those routines that we assume are in fact very much dented by the everyday practice of survival under whatever mode of production you choose. We've chosen capitalism, and hasn't that been doing fucking well? I think we're going to go to a new segment.
Okay.
If you don't mind now. It's just the second week in which Bitsy has covered another of the beautiful works of your favourite band and mine, Spandau Ballet. We think this might be true, or whatever the segment. Anyway, hit it, Bitsy.
They reckon this is true.
There are things that are clearly so twee that they're untrue. Many of the quotes attributed to Mark Twain, Albert Einstein, they were said by some tit who picked them up at Alcoholics Anonymous. But that's not what gains our interest. Actually, we should call the segment Business Goose, shouldn't we?
As long as we can find a Spandau Ballet song that fits it, yes.
They know it's business goose.
So these are when we don't want to explore the origin of something, such as business goose, which I thought until recently was a transliteration of the Mandarin phrase for penguin. It is not, And my life is not enriched.
By
as
having learned that. That's right. You did
a result.
You destroyed something good with knowledge.
Just like Eve. You know, she tempted him, didn't she? Woe, man. Woe to man.
Oh, is that where it comes from? That makes a lot more sense now.
Oh, are there any things that you're happy not to explore?
Well, there is one that I explored and ruined for myself today. I'm
sorry.
No, well, there was one that I had a look at in preparing for this, and I was looking at Speak Softly and Carry a Big Stick, which a lot of people think just means, you don't need to be a big tough guy to get stuff done, which actually means you're able to speak softly if you're prepared to use violence.
It's Machiavelli, essentially.
Yeah, precisely. And then I was like, oh, well, that's kind of like all power grows from the barrel of a gun. But you would know better than I where power grows out of the barrel of a gun comes from, I imagine.
I don't know. I'm just a silly lady. No, I don't. I actually don't.
So it comes from a speech called The Problems of War and Strategy, which Mao delivered during the early stages of the Chinese Civil War.
Well, my face is red as the blood of the proletariat that I'm supposed to be aligned with.
But every communist must grasp the truth. Political power grows out of the barrel of a gun.
I wouldn't go searching for Mao origins, by the way, of his quotes. They're quite apocryphal.
Well, precisely. Our principle is that the party commands the gun and the gun must never be allowed to command the party. I feel like I know less now, and I don't feel that I'm able to use that quote as often.
Yeah. There's another great Mao quote that seems to be more attributable to one of his comrades, by which I mean generals. Not a perfect, incomplete revolution, the Cultural Revolution by any means.
Mistakes were made.
All under heaven is chaos. The situation is excellent. I think that our recently re-elected Prime Minister might want to relate to. That means it's easy to seize political power when everything's in decay.
Makes sense. And you, what have you tried to not destroy with facts this week?
Well, unfortunately, similar situation. It was Oscar Wilde and Dottie Parker. As Dorothy would say, brevity is the soul of lingerie. It is also the soul of her ghost and Oscar Wilde. He said a lot of clever shit.
Now, how much of it did he say? So the one that always sticks in my mind is, I have nothing to declare but my genius.
That is actually true.
But what was the question? How did that come out?
I'm presuming it was, I have a vague memory, but it might also be presumption, that rather like the man for which your puppy dog was named, Christopher Hitchens, Oscar went to America to become rich for quite some time.
Yep.
This is obviously way before Reading Jail and the death in Paris. And it's quite amusing. He taught rich American housewives how to decorate their homes tastefully.
Oh, that makes sense.
It really
Yeah.
does. But I mean, they're very amusing speeches. You could actually get there. He's quite a rewarding individual. I mean, the importance of being earnest and shit, not for me, but there's a lot of great stuff in between. He probably said it unbidden at the American border. I think he might have been polishing it.
The entire voyage over, it's like, I've got this one ready. I hope somebody's there with a pen and paper to capture it.
So Oscar Wilde's alleged deathbed quote, which occurred in Paris, to which he was exiled after being released from Reading prison. Yeah, I realise I'm sounding like a bit of a nerd, but I have been in ISO for 2 weeks now, so we've been doing the collected works of Oscar. We've gone through our queer literature phase.
Yeah.
It's usually quoted as, this wallpaper is killing me. One of us must go. More correctly sounding, it's this wallpaper and I are fighting a duel to the death.
Oh, I've heard it either that wallpaper goes or I do.
There is some documentation that suggests he said it 2 or 3 weeks before his death to an acquaintance in Paris at a cafe. So, I don't know, I shouldn't have found that out. Did either way, Oscar Wilde. Pretty good for a quote.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, Ross, I'm sorry.
What are you sorry for, Race?
Oh, just me. Should we do another segment to liven things up?
Sure, what do we got?
Take it away, you bazaar!
Shit. All of these new things are shit. Shit show in Egypt, know it. They looks impeccable. Always believe them.
Last of Us is back on a television, Fungus, for the win. I am the Mycology Massive. Yeah.
I cannot watch that show without thinking of the children's book Fungus the Bogeyman. That's all I think about the entire time is which one of the mycelium dudes, because they're all dudes. Yeah, once they've been mushroom-headed, they're all dudes.
Appropriately. Because the mushroom often looks like a phallus, you see.
I keep on thinking of Fungus the Bogeyman. Do you remember that book?
No.
Oh, well, I'm going to have to share that with you and other people. It was a book about a bogeyman who used to live under the ground and just his hair stuck up out of the soil. You don't remember it? This is terrible.
I have a very abridged history of reading children's books. I went from illiterate to becoming a snob very, very quickly. I was late to read, but when I did, I don't want that children's nonsense.
Yeah, I understand, but there was about goblins and boogers, and that was good for me at that particular time. You know, I had to rich in a life of goblins and boogers.
Yeah.
That seemed like things that I could connect to.
Indeed.
And then I went from there to Dune, I think, as a kid.
Children do have those jumps, don't they?
Absolutely, they do. But
they're terrifying. They're fucking terrifying, like fungus. They're terrifying.
So you've been watching what I call Jolly and the Fungosaurus. And what are your thoughts on season 2?
Well, honestly, I've been too frightened. I rewatched season 1, as is my wont, when I learned that season 2 would find, and I adored it, you know. And I like very much the true grit relationship between the little girl and the daddy guy and what have you. I've forgotten all of their names, but yeah, no, a lot of it was done from behind a cushion. So I have no opinion. I was hoping that you'd seen some and could tell me whether or not I will be as nauseated, thrilled, and ultimately satisfied, albeit in a shallow way, as I was in season 1.
Well, I think you will. There is plenty going on. We remain with the cultural thread of we remain with the thread of the broad culture over the course of the past 10 years, which is reluctant dad has to look after recalcitrant child. We have a couple of pretty intense scenes. One of them feels a little bit like it was plucked out of Game of Thrones. What a disappointing.
Can I ask you of your opinion of Game of Thrones?
I'm ambivalent. I've told you before that I've made a lot of fun of it, specifically when I noticed that if not watching the show, like if basically it was on in the house, there was a sound effect that you couldn't tell if it was, when you looked at the screen, it was going to be people having sex or dogs eating from a bowl. It was the same sound. So I don't know. I was okay with Game of Thrones. It was a thing that was okay, but I haven't gone back to it, you know. It's not like Generation Kill, which I go back to once a year, or what's the show that makes both you and I sad?
Oh, God, The Leftovers.
Yes, I've been banned from that.
I should be banned from that. I don't have any supervision, though. I really should be banned from The Leftovers. Yep. I think a truly rich text that I recommend, but only if you're in the absolute best emotional health. Something about Justin Theroux. I love that man. I mean, not for the obvious reasons that Jennifer Aniston inter alia stood in line to give him a tongue bath, but he breaks my heart. Yours too?
Yeah, he has a particular looking face, right? He looks like a person who is familiar with loss. Yeah, a bit of a furrowed brow, but also almost always shredded as well. So he's a bit of eye candy. He looks like he might have been sad once. And so
yeah, he's ripped and he takes his shirt off too much. But it's a very canine kind of look.
It is.
And he stares. It's as though he's staring at me or somebody else with disappointment in his eyes, knowing what I've done.
He was very good in the series of the Mosquito Coast. I think he was substantially better than Harrison Ford played that character.
Yeah, absolutely.
So who wrote that book, The Mosquito Coast? I had to read university.
Books, schmucks.
I'm going to be wrong. I wanted to say J.M. Coetzee, but it's probably not it. Oh, this is going to be really bad.
It's going to be tragic.
Yep.
People are talking already, Ross. fucking thank you so much for the emails. I really appreciate them. He doesn't believe that they're real. He thinks I wrote them, not that they're that complimentary. It's just that they're not full of searing critique. Get off my internet, you two!
They're generally quite well spelled, which is something that I'm not used to from things that come unsolicited from the internet.
We have an intimate but clever demographic.
So, do you know why it's especially bad that we couldn't summon who wrote The Mosquito Coast?
I don't know, because it was one of us.
That was written by Paul Theroux.
Oh, I think that the double veil of obfuscation, it's like when you're playing poker, you see, it's a bluff.
Yep.
It's a bluff. And you think, no, the connection could be, I'll shut up now.
No. I think that you should watch Jolly and the Fungosaurus. The spoilers are out there, it's already been a computer game that's been out for a long time, so you know what's going to happen. But it is enjoyable and it will tide me over. It'll fill up my zombie sack until 28 years later comes out, which I am absolutely gagging for. Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh.
All right, top 3 dystopian works of all time.
Oh, okay. The Rover, the David Michôd film with Guy Pearce and the guy who was a sparkly vampire. I think that is excellent. It's hard to go past The Road. Oh, what would be my last one? Probably the original Mad Max.
Well, I'm going Geiger's Penis Landscape, a beautiful work of visual art, and then The Leftovers, because I can actually remember that, having just discussed it, and My Fucking Soul. Here on Vanity Project. Now, Puss, you're about to take an aeroplane.
I am. I have managed to get a little bit of gainful employment, or I believe that we call it consulting is what I'm going to be doing. I'm doing some consulting work. So I'm hopping on a plane any minute now. In fact, I've got to leave the house in about 1 hour. And then I will speak to you during the week. We'll have to do remote again.
We'll have to.
And I'll try and get very close to the microphone and get a little bit of proximity effect.
Bye, my darling. Thank you so much.
See you later.